an awfully tiny spoon you got there.
I don't feel great today. I've had a cold all week, and that's something I feel the need to point out, because when I don't feel good, I feel like I don't look good. When I don't look good, I know that people are going to want to comment on it. I feel like most women have had this experience where we go to the office when we're feeling a little under the weather, and in spite of the fact that we're just trying to live our lives and do our jobs, people feel the need to let us know that we just don't look as good as we usually do, and aren't we a little bit tired? So while I'm feeling like I don't look my best, I want to pull focus and talk about somebody else's looks. I've been following Lori Vallow's court appearances recently. She's the woman who's been labeled Doomsday Mom by various media outlets. She's part of a Mormon-ish, I know that Mormons don't like it when you say that she's Mormon, but she is. She was part of a doomsday cult that's, let's say, Mormon-flavored. She and her new husband, Vallow Daybell, believe that they're gods who have been sent to Earth to lead the chosen ones to the promised land of the apocalypse or something. I don't know, it's all garbage. He's a terrible author. No one's sure what she saw in him. But here we are. She stands accused of murdering her 2 children, and conspiring to murder his previous wife, Tammy Daybell. She's also suspected of being involved in the murder of her previous husband, Charles Vallow. Her brother, Alex Cox, murdered Charles Vallow, supposedly in self-defense. Later that same year, Alex also died under mysterious circumstances. It's worth pointing out that before Charles Vallow, Lori was married to a man named Joseph Ryan, who also died weirdly. And Lori Vallow has said in one of her little Mormon doomsday group get-togethers that she wanted him dead. It's pretty suspicious. In spite of the fact that she's been accused of these fairly heinous crimes, no, not fairly, extremely heinous crimes, a lot of the focus on her recent court appearances have gone to her looks. I just wanted to say at the top, the relatives of the victims who want to go after her looks, they can do what they want, they can say what they want. Let's read some of the reactions to her appearance in court most recently. Just the fact that she stands in front of a mirror using some sort of curler appliance to give herself some sausage curls for court causes me to blow a septal rage gasket. She's so much more concerned about how she looks than what she did to her kids. I will never again use colored pencil ever. She has totally disrespected us good ladies who may wear makeup from time to time. She's taken wearing of makeup to a whole new level. Smack my head. No, wait, not smack my head. Shake my head. Yeah. Still can't hide evil. Makes me sick. Her prison makeup is so awful. That was the first thing I noticed. It looked bad on its own, but add the ugly colored glasses? OMG. She's looking straight into the camera in that photo. Vain, 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 to the bitter end. What a waste of space and resources. The coward's Botox wore off. She's looking her age. Lori has got her clown makeup again, I see, or maybe just hot menopausal flashes. Her legal team looks gloomy. I totally understand the vitriol being directed her way. What she is accused of is totally despicable. Just so we all remember, she's been in a state mental health facility since last year, I believe. She was found incompetent to stand trial, and she was only recently restored to the point where she could aid in her own defense. She's also 48, and I think, honestly, looking at her pictures, for her age and the fact that she's been in a state mental hospital for the past year, she looks pretty good. I think some of it is also driven by the fact that she seduced Chad, and he was really taken in by her charms, and he really prized the fact that she used to be a cheerleader. Like, he talks about, like, oh, I can't believe I got the hot cheerleader. And it's like, she was a cheerleader, what, like 30 years ago? Like, why does that panache stay with you? I don't know. Who can say what goes on in the mind of a chud?
Chud?
His name is Chad.
Yeah.
So Chud. He just looks like a chud. If you just look at him and you think chud, like, it fits.
Okay.
It fits. people do go after his looks a little bit, like they call him a potato, and they point out how blank his look is, which is definitely fair. But because he's a man, there just isn't as much to work with. Like, he just always looks the same. I think it makes sense that people want to go after her looks also because she has obviously some pride in how she looks. She entered into the Mrs. Texas pageant in 2004. So it makes sense that people think, like, this is their chance to knock her down a peg. But I also can't help but think that there might be just a little bit of internalized misogyny going on. It's just crazy that much focus goes on her looks when she's accused of murdering multiple people, including her own children. And by the way, a lot of these comments are coming from women who are approximately the same age, and it's mostly women. But then I started to think that maybe some of that could be driven by an instinctive thought that we have that a better looking person is more likely to get a lighter sentence. I looked it up, and a few studies seem to support that conclusion. I found a study from 2019 called Physical Attractiveness and Criminal Justice Processing, Results from a Longitudinal Sample of Youth and Young Adults. Analysis of data drawn from the National Longitudinal Study of Adolescent to Adult Health revealed that more attractive persons were less likely to be arrested and convicted than less attractive persons, which means that they looked at people and assigned them a number rating of how attractive they were.
Yeah.
Which is, attractiveness is subjective, but is it? I don't know. Maybe that's just something we tell ourselves. Scientists have decided it's not subjective.
Hotornot.com.
Yes, hot or not. This is a bunch of scientists playing hot or not.
Yeah, with your life, with your life sentence.
Follow-up analyses revealed that the beneficial effect of being attractive was confined solely to females. I guess because judges are mostly men. How does that make you feel?
Fine. That makes more sense. Yeah. Release the hot ones. Corral the uggos in.
God, you're all the same.
In maximum security.
Put
so
every
they
man
can't
in
get out.
jail. Every man. I found another study entitled Defendant's Attractiveness as a Factor in the Outcome of Criminal Trials, an observational study. Now, this study only looked at 74 defendants in criminal court, so that's a pretty small study. For 67 defendants, excluding those who had drawn flat sentences, attractiveness was predictive of both minimum and maximum sentences. The more attractive the defendant, the less severe the sentence imposed, so what the other study showed, basically. No significant relationship was found between attractiveness and conviction acquittal, although seriousness of the crime was found to correlate negatively with attractiveness. Ugly people commit worse crimes. It's there in black and white. I don't make the rules, folks. Sorry. It's science.
Beautiful people don't have to.
We don't have to. People
just get stuff.
Give us stuff. I think that there is some legitimacy to the idea that people are furious with Lori Vallow. They don't want her to get away with it, and they know, or think they know, suspect that more attractive people get lighter sentences. I heard some of that speculation. Wait for this stupid-ass car to go by.
It's probably a man driving it.
Oh, man again!
I guarantee it.
Men strike again. I feel like I heard some of this talk around Casey Anthony's trial. This is just speculation, but she's very pretty, according to some. And maybe that played a role in the fact that she got off. Do we really think that if she was unattractive or if she was black, that she would have gotten the same treatment, or God forbid, old? I don't think so. Or I suspect not so. I also saw a really funny comment on one of the Facebook groups that was saying Lori Vallow stated in her recent court appearance that she wanted to assert her right to a speedy trial, which meant that she won't be tried at the same time as Vallow Daybell. Maybe, we'll see. Seems like that's where things are going. But I saw one comment saying, she wants a faster trial because she doesn't want her roots to have grown out by if it gets pushed to a later date. Which, it could be. There's also a lot of speculation in the comments that I saw talking about how her hair looks really nice, it looked like maybe she had had a blowout, and how is it that people are able to get that done when they're in a state facility. So I did a little sleuthing, And I think that she was in State Hospital North. That's the state mental health facility that's closest to Rexburg, Idaho, where the trial is taking place. And I looked at the patient handbook that addresses what types of services patients have access to. If you look at this brochure, like, imagine being mentally unwell, maybe suffering from schizophrenia or some other kind of severe mental disorder, and having to read this brochure that has dark print on a dark background. If that wouldn't send you over the edge, I don't know what would. It says that in the brochure you can have all your own toiletries, that's allowed, and that a hairdresser comes to the facility to take care of your hair, but that is paid for by the patient. It makes sense that if Vallow Daybell was getting her hair done, maybe she could get whatever service she wanted as long as she paid for it. It doesn't seem like there are any hard and fast rules about that. People are making a lot of jokes about her using Kool-Aid and Jolly Ranchers for her makeup, but like I said, it seems like in this state hospital you're allowed to have toiletries, so I don't think that there's any reason for her to have to use that. I think that the most profound insight into what could be motivating Lori Vallow's attention that she pays to her looks comes from Annie Cushing. Annie Cushing has a YouTube channel called A Murderous Heart, where she does these incredible live streams where she unpacks a lot of the details around the case, and she tells anecdotes about Lori Vallow from the time that she knew her, from the time that they hung out, and it's really interesting, really insightful. In the most recent one, I'll link it below, Annie Cushing tells the story of a time she met Lori Daybell's father, Barry Cox, where he was talking to Annie Cushing's daughter and saying how pretty she was and how she should be careful of who she marries because he knows of a woman who is really beautiful, but she married an ugly guy. And they had 3 children, and they all look like the ugly dad and not the hot mom. And then he concludes this anecdote by saying, those children should have been drowned. And the way she tells it, it's not like it was a like there wasn't a follow-up, like that was it. It's like, wow, okay, I guess he has a dark sense of humor, but that seems like a step further than a dark sense of humor. It seems like maybe he's a little bit not right. Which would make sense that would be Lori Daybell's background, like it fits. I think it also makes sense that at a time when the world hates her, she's turning to the only source of love that she really relies on and has relied on her whole life, which is her looks. And I'm not a lawyer, but I think that it's 30 years minimum for the 3 charges, like 10 years for each first-degree murder, and then 10 years minimum for conspiracy to commit murder. So she's looking at 30 years, she's 48, so that brings her to 78. I don't think we have to worry about her getting out early and having a great life. At least I hope not. Knock on wood. It's okay for evil people to be hot. Right? Is that where I'm landing with this?
I don't know about that.
I think that in our hearts, like, we don't want attractive people to be evil. Like, we want it to be ugly people are bad and hot people are nice. And I think that Lori Vallow is just another example of the fact that we don't always get what we want. Hot people are evil. And I'm going to leave you with that.
By the way, Lori Daybell did not win Mrs. Texas.